Okay, ninth grade, here's our very last lecture of the year, mammals. So mammals, as well as birds and other complex creatures, but primarily mammals, have been a source of fascination for centuries, and there's a lot of beautiful artwork. They're the most dominant creatures on the planet right now, the most widespread biogeographically, and so they're ruling the day. This is their heyday, the age of mammals, where we live. We are a mammal, and this is where we belong. So I'm going to very quickly sneak up to you. So monotremes are egg-laying mammals. Then you get to the marsupials in Australia, who give birth to a very tiny, undeveloped, not fully developed fetus that then externally attaches itself to the mammary glands, the nipples of a mother, and then continues its development externally. And then finally, you get to the eutherians, or the placental mammals, of which we are, and these are the latest, the most advanced mammals on the planet. But there are egg laying mammals that just secrete milk, like sweat milk, out of their chest. Then there are marsupials that have mammary glands but still have and kind of an eggless or external development of their babies. And then finally, you get to the placental mammals, which are the most advanced, which have internal fertilization completely, giving birth to a highly developed young. Notice our little box over there of where we are: primates, shrews, rabbits, and rodents. So maybe this helps explain why mice are often the subject of laboratory experiments. It's because, believe it or not, they are very close to us genetically, and given the current controversy of supposedly how a bat virus got to us, they're on that one branch over. Still pretty different, but I guess it's possible. Could be other reasons, but nevertheless, there you go. So we talked about jaw structure. You've learned a lot about jaw structure if you've been paying attention. And so early reptilian jaws, basically they have that lower bone section. Understand the skull as a giant jigsaw puzzle anyway. And so part of the lower jaw section of reptiles became one of the inner ear bones for mammals. And so mammal hearing is much more acute, much greater, and much more specific. And consequently, you're going to need a better computer to process that kind of data. So this is not a new invention. It's kind of co-opted or adjusted to give rise to mammals from early reptiles. But right here is where they split, like I said before, and the structure of their skull. This is Darwin's drawing of mammal skulls. This is a field drawing, a rough sketch, if you will. Shows what a beautiful artist he was, but also what a source of fascination mammal skulls are because of their history, how they are like a jigsaw puzzle. They have many parts that make them highly specialized. And so zoologists and biologists love studying mammal skulls. Were we in class? I have a number of skulls, like a bear and a cat, and what else do I have? Wolf. I have a number of skulls I could have shown you to show you how the puzzles are put together. Same pieces, just different arrangement to make different mammal skulls. So that's one of the ways that they're really unique. So I'm going to walk through some of these guys. You've marsupials and eutherian or placental mammals. They have a convergent, kind of a parallel story in their evolution. Just that all mammals used to be marsupial, and it's understood that they were isolated in that large island of Australia, whereas placental mammals are the most advanced. If placental mammals get into a context along with marsupials, they will outcompete. The only marsupial we have here in North America is the possum. So early mammals look a lot like this. That's a monotreme and echidna. Then you have sugar gliders and tree shrews. But this would be an example, if you could go back in time, of what you might expect to see of early mammals. So there's your monotreme, the platypus and echidna. They lay eggs. They have no nipples. They kind of sweat milk from their fur. Then you get to the marsupials that you're familiar with in Australia. A lot of different body plans, but they're all marsupials in terms of their embryonic development. And then we move forward into the eutherians, like elephants and manatees. And you got squirrels and rabbits and primates. And so these are all things that you're very familiar with: coyotes and sheep and dolphins. And so the diversity of mammals, you had about 50 new orders arise over about 15 million years, which is super fast evolution. And so there's your unicorn, I mean rhino, and then there's a bat and a mole. So again, this is the small but diverse branch of the mammals, and you can see where we fit, where our closest relatives are, if you will, genetically and um, I guess structurally. And so I told you that we would slowly sneak up to something like you, bit by bit, structure by structure, story by story. And if these pictures look any bit familiar, from kids playing on the grammar school to the smirk of the gorilla, welcome. So we covered some of this when we talked about evolution and human evolution in that unit. I'm not going to go back through this, but I just wanted to make a little loop, a little circle, so that you can see where this is all connected. We are the last of the hominids, and so you can see where the other old and new world monkeys and the great apes fit into this now. So here's our little branch. We walked through this, that our primary distinction as hominids, there were other hominids, but our primary distinction is very small. Our main adaptation was in our skull, once again, which I hope that makes sense now that I talk about how mammal skulls can be highly adapted to fit specific purposes. Same parts, just rearrangement, fuse this, unfuse certain things, enlarge this, shrink this, and you can get different functions. Our greatest adaptation is nothing special anatomically except for our cerebrum. This is where we would have done a bit of neuroscience in class, but what you're looking at right here, that is our chief adaptation. Not camouflage, not claws, not speed, not strength, not fangs, nothing like that. This is it. So I highly suggest you go ahead and develop and adapt your primary adaptation. I told you the story of where we came from biogeographically. Showed you some of our closest cousins, if you will, in our family tree. There's a few debates about Neanderthals versus Homo sapiens, whether they're the same species or not. There's some clear differences, but how do you define a species? Our family tree is difficult if we're zooming even further in to figure out where exactly we came from or who we're most closely related to within our own branch. And in evolution, we discuss vestigial structures that are left over that talk a lot about our history biologically as mammals. We have some unique things and that we can see every day, and some of those give us goosebumps. So, class, that is it. It is very difficult to talk about anything else. We have snuck up to us. If we had more time, if we were in class, we'd be doing human anatomy and physiology for a couple weeks. But that's it, gang. Congratulations, you're done.